reaffirms commitment to end the conflict in Yemen and protect the security of the region. The United Nations announces that adequate funding blocks rescue efforts for safer oil tanker. Houthi mines continue to claim lives of civilians in Hodeidah Governorate. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Rushan Fuad. U.S. President Joe Biden issued a statement affirming his country's commitment to the safety and security of the United Arab Emirates and to end the war in Yemen. A year ago, the city of Abu Dhabi was subjected to a Houthi terrorist attack with 2 ballistic missiles and a series of drones which targeted civilian sites and civilian infrastructure. Head of the Presidential Leadership Council received the director of the Middle East Department of the German Berghof organization. El-Alimi stressed the need to correct false narrative about the Yemeni issue as a basis for building realistic peace in the country. On the same line, head of the Presidential Leadership Council welcomed the efforts to revive the political process in Yemen during a meeting with the ambassador of the European Union. El-Alimi warned the international mediators of the Houthi militia's blackmail, stressing the need to classify the group as an international terrorist organization. Despite a relatively stable security situation in Yemen over recent months, efforts to rescue a large cargo of oil from a stricken tanker lying off the coast of the Middle East country appear to be making limited progress. This report has more details.
Despite a relatively stable security situation in Yemen over recent months, efforts to rescue a large cargo of oil from Safar tanker appear to be making limited progress. The UK government was among those to voice concern this week over the delays of retrieving the crude oil from Safar, which has been abandoned since 2015. The vessel is in a poor state of repair and at risk of breaking up and spilling its cargo into the sea. In comments to the United Nations Security Council on January 16, the UK's Ambassador James Kariuki described the situation as a wholly preventable crisis and called on the United Nations and other parties to continue working together. His comments were echoed by Yemeni Ambassador Abdullah Sadi, who also urged rapid action to address the situation. Safar tanker currently holds an estimated 1.1 million barrels of oil, 4 times the amount of oil spilled by the Exxon Valdez in March 1989. In September last year, the United Nations said it had finally raised enough funds from donors to start the first phase of a plan to remove the oil from the dilapidated ship, with some $75 million pledged by governments, local corporates, and members of the public. France said it would donate a further €1 million to the rescue mission. The first phase is due to take 4 months to complete, but the full rescue effort is expected to cost around $113 million, with an additional $38 million needed to install a safe, long-term oil storage facility to take the place of the Safar. However, it appears little progress has been made in a country that is still riven by conflict. Launching a rescue operation for Safar, which lies in the waters controlled by Houthis close to Hodeidah port, has proven impossible in the context of the country's war. Observers warn that if nothing is done and the cargo leaks or explodes, the effects would be devastating for the surrounding environment and local livelihoods. The United Nations has said that hundreds of thousands of jobs in the fishing industry would be lost almost overnight, and it could take 25 years for the fish to recover. Environmental pressure groups have described the situation as a ticking bomb. The cost of a cleanup operation in the event of a spill has been bought at $20 billion.
In Taiz, government forces clashed with the Houthi militia during the past hours. The media center of Taiz reported the clashes took place between the government forces and the Houthi militia in all fronts of the city. The government forces shelled artillery positions of the terrorist militia that targeted residential neighborhoods at the old airport and other locations west of the city. Director of the Moral Affairs Department at the Ministry of Interior was subjected to an assassination attempt in his home in the city of Aden, southern Yemen. The official accused the terrorist Houthi militia of being behind the assassination attempt, especially since he was a subject to 3 previous assassination attempts. The name of the official was placed on the list of death sentences issued by the Houthi militia in Sana'a. The terrorist Houthi militia stormed 5 homes of citizens in a neighborhood in Al Bayda Governorate, central Yemen. Local sources said the gunmen raided the houses, broke their doors, and threw a number of bombs inside. According to the sources, the raid was against the backdrop of the Houthi militia's looting of lands. The Houthi militia raided a number of villages in Hamdan district north of the capital, Sana'a. They stormed homes, bulldozed agricultural lands, and kidnapped dozens of citizens. Local sources said that the Houthi militia has launched an ongoing military campaign for about 3 weeks on the villages in the district, during which it kidnapped dozens of citizens. The Houthi mines have claimed civilians' lives in Hodeidah Governorate. More than 300 people were killed and injured during the past year. The following report has more details.
In Hodeidah, the mines laid by the Houthi militia caused the death and injury of more than 300 civilians in the year 2022. Houthi mines are planted everywhere in Yemen, in roads, in farms, and residential neighborhoods.
Houthi rebels have planted mines in roads, farms, and residential areas. They also planted landmines, which are banned by international law. Massam project removed more than 25,000 mines and explosive devices in Hodeidah.
The victims just keep increasing. Landmines and explosive devices pose a serious threat to the lives of civilians, especially women and children.
We cannot move freely because mines are everywhere and so many people just keep dying. Now when we go anywhere, we fear that we step on mines that may lead to our death.
The district of Hais in Hodeidah, which has become a scene of mine crimes due to the Houthis, has killed and injured so many people.
The teams operated by Massam, the mining project in Hodeidah, work intensely to remove the mines planted by the Houthis.
Yemen has been suffering from the landmines planted by the Houthis over the past years, and despite the work of organizations like Massam Demining Project, mines are laid randomly in Yemen, which makes the process of removing them extremely difficult. Houthi mines continue to threaten the present and future of Yemenis, at a time when the world turns a blind eye to this terrorism perpetrated by the Houthi rebels.
Coming next. Activists launch a campaign on social media against women dress code imposed by the Houthis.
ننشر ندي ماء من الغل والغيلة بعيد، كنا ندي بالدواب نعبي ماء وترجعنا. ننزل الساعة 5 رجعنا الساعة 9.
ما يجي لنا ظهر لأنه زحمة ما حد يخلي الجهل يغرق وإحنا تعبنا زيادة.
وكنت أحس صدري يوجعني وعز قدرك ركبي يوجعيني.
كنا بنستخدم حتى نغسل أولادنا يعني بأيام معدودة.
كنت أغيب على المدرسة لأن أنا كنت أروح الديمة.
حتى وإن كان يجي الأمطار تروح هدر لأنه ما في معيار الزحمة.
الوقت نشتري ب30,000 دي مع هستيلك ما يغلقش معها الشهر.
بس راح تطلب الله ولا أي حاجة، عاملة كل شغلك على الماء.
Welcome back. The Iranian-backed terrorist Houthi militia in Sana'a imposed new restrictions and conditions on shops selling women's attires as a part of a systematic and continuous campaign to target and restrict the freedom of Yemeni women. This report gives more details.
The Houthi rebels have banned women to wear colorful cloaks, and instead they have enforced the black abaya that covers the entire body. In response, Yemeni women have started a campaign on social media to denounce the Houthi dress code rules. Thus, Yemenis have taken to Twitter to defy this strict dress code using the Yemeni identity hashtag in both Arabic and English languages. The posts consist of pictures of Yemeni women in colorful traditional clothing and are in response to the strict dress code imposed on parts of Yemeni-controlled areas by the Houthi militia. Few users addressed the restriction of the colored abaya directly by mentioning that black is a lonely color that doesn't belong to Yemen's identity. Some of the photos also showed Yemeni men in traditional and colorful clothing alongside women to support the Yemeni civilization that has been lasting for centuries. The dress code is strictly enforced in Houthi parts of Yemen, and women there must wear a long black loose-fitting abaya that covers them from head to toe. It's crystal clear that Houthis are attempting to impose the Iranian sectarian ideology on Yemeni women. However, Iran's dress code for women is less strict than the one in Houthi-controlled areas. Iranian authorities have been pushing women over the hijab more harshly recently, which has resulted in the ongoing protests in Iran when a Kurdish woman was allegedly beaten to death by the religious police in relation to how she wore her head covering. In 2021, the Yemeni model Intisar al-Hamid was imprisoned previously by the Houthi authorities for wearing colorful clothing and sharing her pictures with these photos for the so-called the indecency law. The Houthis keep tightening laws and rules, although the Yemeni women are usually wearing conservative clothes, to the extent that most women wear veil for a variety of societal and religious reasons, despite the fact that hijab is not compulsory in some parts of Yemen.
The Gulf drama crew has performed Shakespeare's famous play Hamlet in Aden. What is unique about the acting is that the script of the play has been converted into colloquial Adeni. The following report has more details.
Theater does not only act as entertainment. It holds up a mirror to society and influences introspection. You can discover something new about yourself and the world you live in by watching what unfolds in front of you. The Gulf of Aden group has performed the world classic novel Hamlet by the famous English novelist William Shakespeare for the first time in the interim capital Aden, and it was directed by Amr Jamal. The performance of the play continued for 10 consecutive days.
Above all, theater is very important because it reflects the society. And secondly, we are thirsty for culture. Because Aden was a center of culture previously, the return of theater in Aden is the return of the center of life and culture to Aden.
One of the features of the play is that it chose the historical landmark, the Parliamentary Council in Sira district in Aden, to host its performances after the Gulf of Aden Group undertook the restoration of the council building and prepared it so that it stimulates the old European theaters by mediating the stage of the performance venue and surrounding the audience with it from all the three sides. The Gulf of Aden Group wanted to choose the Parliamentary Council to present the historical play Hamlet with the aim of shedding light on the historical and archaeological monument in Aden, giving it attention and reviving its cultural role again. It's noteworthy that this theatrical performance is the first of its kind in the city of Aden for nearly 3 years after the theatrical performances in the city stopped due to the conditions it has been through. The play witnessed encouraging and welcoming impressions from the audience, who were keen to attend in large numbers throughout the 10 days, and stressed the extent of its need for such cultural and artistic events.
استغرق تحضير لمشروع المسرحية أو هذا البروجكت وقت طويل جدا.
The preparations of the play took nearly 2 years. There was a great effort to present a world-class performance as Hamlet is a universal play, and this type of theoretical work is different compared to others in Aden in many aspects, such as the artistic entry of actors with what is commensurate with the director's visions, the decorations, the outfit and accessories. Besides, the rehearsals took almost 6 months.
Theater enriches the minds and lives of those who participate in and or consume it. When it comes to theater, there are as many functions as there are plays. And there are 3 ways that theater enhances our lives. It increases empathy and connection to community, it acts as a mirror, and it flexes your brain and helps with development. Theater as the greatest of all art forms, the most immediate way in which a human being can share with another the sense of what it is to be a human being. And to enter a theater for a performance is to be inducted into a magical space, to be ushered into a sacred arena of the imagination. Creating theater is often a process of discovery, whether that's thinking on your feet and figuring out where the story goes, or figuring out how the story is told and what it means for the characters. Whether you are a lifelong thespian or an occasional theater goer, you will find enrichment in the audience and on the stage. So, is theater really a dying art form?
Coffee is an essential part of the culture and lifestyle in Yemen and the world. In Yemen, farmers still use traditional methods of growing and roasting coffee beans, methods that have not changed significantly in 5 centuries. The following report has more details.
Coffee is an essential part of the culture and lifestyle in the Middle East and North Africa. People were traveling from the Horn of Africa to Yemen 500 years ago, and thus the country has maintained its position as one of the most famous coffee producers in the world. In Yemen, farmers still use traditional methods of growing and roasting coffee beans, and they use methods that have not changed significantly in 5 centuries. No machines, chemicals, or any of the modern methods are used in that process to ensure the high quality and distinctive taste of coffee. The harvest season begins in November and continues until the end of January. All members of the family participate in the harvest of coffee and transport it to the sun to dry it. The majority of specialty coffee in Yemen is grown in the highlands at an altitude of 1,800 meters. The Yemeni coffee tree is distinguished by its green color, and its length ranges between 5 to 6 meters. Harvesting takes place from 1 to 3 months, depending on the cultivated areas. After the coffee fruits are dried, the coffee beans are roasted and then sprayed together on the ground before being packaged and sold. The darker the coffee bean, the stronger the aroma and the flavor of the product. Despite the global fame of Yemeni coffee, farmers in recent years have faced enormous challenges in harvesting it due to the war, the economic situation, the closure of border crossings, and the lack of water. On the 3rd of March every year, Yemenis celebrate the Mocha Festival, which marks the National Coffee Day and is an important way to preserve the country's coffee growing heritage.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. U.S. President affirms commitment to end the conflict in Yemen and protect the security of the region. The United Nations announces that adequate funding blocks rescue efforts for safer oil tanker. Houthi mines continue to claim lives of civilians in Hodeidah Governorate. This is the end of the news. It was Roshan Fouad. Thank you for watching.